TJ the Wheel Deal coming at you live. It is Tuesday, April the 29th, 11:01 a.m. Central Time, Texas time. We're going to get into it, guys. I don't have a long time. We ain't here for a long time. We're here for a short time, but a good time. I've got some FaceTimes today that I pushed out from yesterday. So I got to get back on track. My wife and I were celebrating our 2nd year anniversary yesterday, so I was out of pocket. I'm showing my age there a little bit using terminology like out of pocket. But anyway, we're going to get into it. Yeah, I've got FaceTimes at 11:30, 12:30, 1 o'clock. So if you're a member, you do some FaceTimes, get them in because they're not going to be around forever, guys. I am not going to have that membership going on. Very unlikely that it'll go on past the rest of this year. So get on the membership and secure your spot because it'll be gone by the end of this year. You know, by the end of this year, my wife's going to put the clamps down on it. And that's it. And so I'll probably terminate the entire membership. I'll plead with her to see if I can keep it going after that for the people that are already part of it. But more than likely, the shit will be done. It'll be done because I've got to get on my life. You know, I got to get on my life. We have real big dreams. We have real big goals, real big aspirations and ambitions. And she doesn't want me spending too much time on YouTube. So there's that. So anyway, let's get started, guys. Let's get started. I appreciate all y'all tuning in. What's going on, BR? What's going on, Manesh? What's going on, Midwest? Mike D, G-Man. Let's get into it. Appreciate the 113 people that have tuned in on X, the 27 people rocking with me live on YouTube. Going to be a nice small crowd here today. There's probably other people that are live right now. Who knows if Amit's still on or not. I just got back from the island. We were at South Padre Island. So we are going to get started. So let's get over here. Let me get, there we go. We got kaleidoscope action. And we've got this guy here. We're going to expand it. Let's get into it. Let's get into it, guys. Here we go. I've got my TV in the background, so I'm able to see what's going on over there later. Perfect. Let's go. So I know that you guys can see the screen because I can see it over there on the TV. So let's get into it, guys. We're going to start off with the small account today. I'm going to change this up on a daily basis because I feel like sometimes I don't give a lot of love to the small account. And then there's a lot of y'all that don't have the real big money. So the big account's unrelatable, all that stuff. So let me show y'all what's going on with the son's account. This is essentially the account that eventually we're going to give to my son so he can get rocking and rolling in his life. But for now, not his. He still has to work. He works at USAA. He's grinding and trying to build his life the same way that everybody else is. So what do we got going on here? We got Riot. So we'll just minimize all of them and we'll go one at a time. So what's going on with Riot? There's 3,000 shares at $6.89. And it's currently going at $7.28. And then there's a bit of a strangle going on here as well. We've got a cash secure put at $7 expiring on June the 20th. And we've got all the shares for sale at $9 on June the 20th as well. So 52 days out on the expiration date. So the shares are doing well. The cash secured put is under some pressure. It's down 35%. And then the covered call is up about 35%. So that tells me that that position there is pretty delta neutral, if you will. So not bad. Let's look at SoFi. What's going on with SoFi? We've got the covered calls at 52 days out. Those seem to be doing pretty well, up 53%. And then we've got the long calls that have been recovering over the last week or so since SoFi started going up because these were down like 60%, 57% at one point, and now they're not. And in fact, earlier, I'd be willing to bet when we were driving over here and SoFi was in that $14 range, I think it got as high as $14.40, $14.50 pre-market. This thing probably damn near even, probably. So there's that. You know, paid $242 per contract. And those contracts currently worth $200. So that's not bad. Run a pretty good track there, down about, $4,700 on the actual leaps. And then, we're bringing in a couple of $1,000 every 60, 70 days or whatever it is. This was actually a 90-day contract on the covered calls. So the position's still not performing that great. Not performing that great. It is a very imbalanced portfolio right now. We're extremely heavy on SoFi. That's why I used the thumbnail with the SoFi steed, right? Because it's the horse. It's the horse that we're counting on to get us to the promised land in this particular portfolio. The question is should it still be the horse? Obviously, y'all know by now, SoFi reported earnings that were really good, beats across the board. They raised guidance. It's exactly what I wanted to see. It's what we saw. The only downside I feel is Galileo is doing what it's been doing. Not a lot. So, there's people that are going to argue that how is it going to command a tech multiple and all that stuff if Galileo fails to perform? I think that because they have other segments that are performing better than was anticipated, they got a brand new revenue stream with this loan platform business, the fee-based business. I think that they can kind of get a pass, but I think that there's probably 12, 18 months or so max that we have for Galileo to really get it on track. If not, then, at the end of the day, it's a really fast growing bank. It's got really, really good metrics, low overhead, high profit margins, but at the end of the day, it's still just a bank. So I think that tech component is going to have to deliver. And hopefully the market will give it a pass here for the next 12 to 18 months. We'll see what happens. I'm more than cautiously optimistic. I'm extremely optimistic that they're going to deliver. I heard about 50, 60% of the call this morning. I like Noto's tone. I think they mean business. I think that they've been executing, guys. I think they've been executing. They've had rough market conditions along the way. And I think that now that they're going to have some tailwinds potentially, provided that the macro holds up, I expect some really, really big things for SoFi in the future. And so XL, here's a little short strangle that we got. So we got the cash equivalent at 8. We got the cover call at 18, 52 days out. I'm doing okay, up $65 collectively. TSLL, there's 500 shares owned, up quite a bit on the shares, 58%. Then there is cash secured puts at 7. Those are doing okay at 7%. And then the cover calls are in the money at $10, 143 days out. So we're already underwater on those cover calls a little bit, but that's okay. I can just get the shares, get called away, get back into cash, and kind of go from there. So that is what's going on with that portfolio in a nutshell. Let's switch over to the intermediate account. This is roughly a $600,000 portfolio. There's only 4 positions here. We'll start with the first one. CleanSpark, we've got a short strangle going. We got cash secured put at 8, cover call at 11, expiring 52 days out. Down on the cash secured put, up on the covered call. So that means that it's pretty delta neutral position. We're in decent shape there. Riot, what's going on? Riot, there's 5,000 shares owned at 653. It's currently going at 727. So that part's good. There's an agreement to buy 5,000 more shares at $6 via cash secured put, 52 days out. Is doing pretty good there. And then we've got the shares for sale at $9. Those are doing well. So that position is doing well. We're just collecting some data. SoFi, this one's a much larger position. Again, this portfolio is extremely imbalanced, very, very heavy on SoFi. So what do we got? We've got 400 cover calls at $16 for June. Those are about even. We've got 400 cash secured puts in January at $10. Those are doing okay at 95%. And then we've got 400 leaps at 15 for June of 2026. Those are up a cool 96%. I'm sure they were up a lot more whenever SoFi was in that $14 range. But, the reality is it was a very expensive trip from the island back home, cost a shitload of money, but it is what it is. Hopefully SoFi will bounce again. But even if it does, the fact that the IV has probably gone down, it makes it even harder to recover that money. So we're in this thing. We're trying to flip those contracts. On the leaps, we lost that opportunity for the time being. We have to wait for the IB to spike up again, maybe as we get closer to the next earnings. But then it's tough because every day that you're in an eroding asset like a leap, you're losing that data, right? You're not gaining that data. It's not like a cash secured put or a covered call where you're collecting data. Whenever you buy leaps, it's costing you money. It's costing you time, and time is money. So that's the gimme and the gotcha there. But all in all, the position looks pretty good. Then TSLL, there's 5,000 shares owned at 769, currently going for 1042. So up a cool 35% on the shares. That part's real good. And then we've got an agreement to buy 10,000 more shares, 100 contracts at 6.7 for June. And we got an agreement to sell 10,000 shares at 12.7. Obviously, you can see that there's only 5,000 shares owned. So 50 of those contracts are naked. So it is definitely something that we have to be mindful of, and we have to be on top of it. We got to be ready to stop from roll like a fireman, and that we don't get burned. So that's what's going on with those portfolios. Now let's go on to this one. This is a new one. More money is being transferred out of Robinhood, but there's nothing there yet. There's nothing there yet. The transfer is in progress. This is something else that I'll be able to feature. We're about 3 or 4 days away. Call it a week. So now let's go into the featured account. What is going on with the featured account? We got Amazon. We've got the 10,000 shares of Amazon, and we got them for sale at $205. Amazon's got earnings coming up. We'll see. It could go either way, right? It could go either way. I'm expecting beats across the board, but they are going to address tariffs and all that stuff. We'll see what happens, guys. The situation's fluid. We have to be very malleable in this business. You've got to be able to just roll with the punches. We'll see what happens long term. I'm extremely bullish on Amazon. The only thing that I do not like about Amazon is that the premiums suck. So I definitely am going to consider, I'm going to take a long, hard look in the mirror today. I'm going to reach deep into the soul, and I'm going to look, and I'm going to consider buying 100 leaps on Amazon. That way I could position the portfolio to let the shares of Amazon get called away at 205, 52 days from now, or maybe even terminate that cover call contract. If there's a pump on Amazon, I could consider selling the shares as long as we're above $203, and then I can just write out the leaps, reallocate the capital, free up a lot of collateral. That way I can go sell cash secured puts and strangles somewhere else where the IV's higher, the premiums are a lot higher as well. CleanSpark, what's going on with CleanSpark? There's 25,000 shares owned. We're doing okay on the shares, up 19%. Then we've got 2,000 cash secured puts at $8. Those are under a little bit of pressure. These all expire 52 days out to the June 20 cycle. Then we've got the shares for sale at 9. So those are doing okay, surprisingly, 52 days out. And then we've got the strangle going here, the short strangle here at 8 on the cash secured put side, and then on the covered call at 11. So we just have to, that's kind of like a highway. And I'm going to do a whiteboard presentation later today, or maybe for Wheelers tomorrow, and show you how to really manage the short strangle. I look at it like a highway. It's 8 and 11. Those are the rails, and the drunk driver, which is the share price, it has to stay within that range. If it does, you don't have to manage. The minute that it looks like it's going to crash into one of those rails, you've got to expand the highway and give that drunk driver the share price more wiggle. Enphase. What's going on with Enphase? We've got a short strangle. We got cash secured put at 45. Surprisingly, that one's starting to do okay. And then we've got the covered call at 55. So those are doing pretty good, all for June. HIMS, this one woke up on the right side of the truck bed this morning, right? So I had the cash secured put at 20. So what I did is I rolled it from 20 to 25. And you can see that here by when I click activity. You click activity, and I just go here, and I go today, and you're going to see HIMS. I rolled from 20 to 25. You look here on the bottom, 20 to 25. And I rolled NVIDIA, and I rolled Palantir. That's all that I did there, and I'll talk about it here in a second. So I've already addressed HIMS on the cash secured put side. I haven't addressed it on the covered call side because this is short strangle, so these are technically naked. Why am I not addressing that? Because I'm like, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. We have to buy shares at 35.60 and turn around and sell them at 35. We're talking about losing 60 cents, 25 times over. or 2,500 times over. Technically, it's on a per share basis. It's just not that big of a deal. And I just don't think it's going to happen because there's still 52 days on the clock. So I'm going to collect some data. I'm going to kind of let it play out. I'll try to increase the strike price on the cash secured puts so that I have more credits there. And then I could just roll the cover call up to like 37, 38. For a debit, I could use the credits from the cash secured put to pay for the debit on the cover call, widen the road the way that I need, essentially becomes a construction project at that point. And then we'll just get it done. That way I don't have to keep kicking the can down the road. So you can use your credit to finance debit. Hood, what's going on with the hood? We got a cash secured put at 40 and 55. So the highway is 15 wide, if you will, and it's sitting at 48. So we're doing okay. We're doing okay on the cash secured puts. We're under pressure on the cover call side of things, and that's okay. We'll just let it kind of balance out. I'm not going to be too much more aggressive on the cash secured put side and raise that because I don't really like hood at 40 bucks. I like it more like at 30 bucks. So it's not really in that price range. This is just a cash grab, so I'm going to have to manage. Marathon, what's going on with Marathon? There's 20,000 shares owned at 1242. Currently going for 1420, so up 14% on the shares. And then we got a strangle going on as well. This is a covered strangle though, because we got 200 cash secured puts at 12, and then we got an agreement to sell these shares, these 20,000 shares. We got an agreement to sell those at 15. Now, if I had an additional 200 contracts over here at 15, then those other 200 covered calls would be naked. So this one's officially a covered strangle. And I don't want to mess with it because there's a lot of short interest on Marathon and CleanSpark and Riot, all the miners. So I don't want this thing to get out of hand very, very quickly, potentially, and run too much risk to the upside. I just don't want to play that game. What is that, baby? Oh. NVIDIA. What's going on with NVIDIA? We got a short strangle here. Cash secured put 95, 120. So the highway is 25 wide. So even though the drunk driver is out of control, he's got plenty of road to work with, we should be okay. We should be okay though for June 20th. Palantir, another road that's really, really wide. 95 on the put side, and it was at 90. I raised it up to 95. I think it might have been at 80 something initially, but I keep raising it and actually it was at 70 initially. I keep raising the cash secured put side of things. Now I'm collecting credits, and I'm going to use all of those credits to eventually potentially finance a debit and raise the cover call side from 120, 125, 130. Make sure the highway's wide enough so that the drunk driver could slide on through all the way to the expiration. It eventually exit stage left for the win. Riot. This one's tough. Got 150,000 shares, down a lot on the shares. $182,000. That's no bueno, first of all. And then we got an agreement. We didn't learn. So we got an agreement to buy 100,000 more shares at 7. And those are, doing okay, but they're essentially under pressure still. These expire 52 days out. But then we got an agreement to not just sell the 150,000 shares. We got an agreement to sell 100,000 shares that we don't even own at $10. So we got a lot of risk to the upside there too. If Riot goes on a moonshot, we would definitely have to manage to the upside. But it's not as painful as you would think. So we do have 150,000 shares, and we got the money to buy 100,000 more shares if we needed to. So that's what's going on with Riot. SoFi, we already talked about that position on the others, but let's talk about this one. This is, again, a very, very big position in the portfolio. Luckily, we don't own any shares, so it's not as capital intensive a position. So we've got cover calls at 15 for June. Those were under pressure immensely, but then now it's chilled out a little bit, so I think we're going to end up being okay. We had some IV contraction there, so that helps us probably. And then we got cash secured puts in the distance for January at $12. Those are doing okay. But then we have the leaps. I looked on the phone earlier today, and these leaps were worth, in the profit and loss on the open side of things, they were worth $500,000 to the good. Now they're only worth $335,000 to the good. So that's a cool, $155,000 is the value that was lost during a 1 hour and 15-minute trip from the island to the house. That's just the nature of the game. The good news is I didn't really have an intention. It wasn't the intent to close those leaps. I want to ride them out at least through the end of the year. So, there's going to be 3 more earnings by then, right? So we'll see what happens. It's my bet that SoFi is going to be at least at 20, 25 bucks by the end of the year. So these will be worth a lot more, and they'll be up, in the neighborhood of $800,000-900,000, maybe even $1 million by that time. And that's when I'll be looking to exit stage left, and then I'll just be managing the short strangle, which is what we got going on here. The only thing we need to do is match up those dates. So eventually I'll be rolling those covered calls. I'm going to try to collect some data over here, but eventually I want to put a January tag expiration date on those covered calls, especially if it gets out of hand. Put a $22 price tag, strike price over there on the covered call. And then I'm managing the $12 puts and the $22 call. So I got a 10 strike wide lane, the highway lane. And then SoFi, the drunk driver, can just try to drive through that, and hopefully we'll be okay. And now we'll just adjust accordingly. Tesla, this is probably the biggest position in the portfolio. There's 6,500 shares. We're finally doing okay on the shares. So that's the good news. We've got 315 covered calls. 65 of them are covered. 250 of them are naked. So we have an unlimited risk to the upside. But we're starting to print a little bit of money on those because Tesla's now gone sideways for a couple of days. So that is good for us. But for protection, we also have 500 cash secured puts at 200 in January. Eventually, this will be a lot like SoFi. You'll see the covered calls matching the cash secured puts over here in January. But I'm going to try to refrain from doing that too soon. I like to get all the way to like September before I do that, because we can collect a lot more credits, trying to do this 40, 50, 60 days out at a time versus just doing one fell swoop. So that's what's going on with those. And then we got TSLL, which is essentially my insurance policy on all these naked calls that we're selling. I've got 50,000 shares over here, and we are doing pretty good on those, up a cool 138,000 on those. And then we got cash secure puts at 7.7, 500 of those. So we've got an agreement to buy 50,000 more shares at 770, because we know that the insurance policy is not as big as it needs to be. Fully aware of that. So we've got an agreement to buy more shares at 770, and then we've got an agreement to sell those shares at 1070. Eventually, I just need to get through this cycle. I need to take those covered calls off. I need to take them off, because I don't need to have a ceiling on the one thing that's kind of like my saving grace. Because if Tesla gets out of hand, that means that TSLL is going to get out of hand. So I don't need a ceiling on that. I don't need a cap on that ceiling. I need to let this thing run for us. Ideally, if we could be at 100,000 shares, that's going to erase anything it's going to erase a lot of what could potentially get out of hand with Tesla. So that's what's going on in a nutshell, guys. We've got about 7 minutes of Q&A. So let me close all of this out. And let's just see what you guys have to say, because I do got to get on with the FaceTime. Appreciate the 527 people that have tuned in on X, and the 62 people rocking with me live on YouTube. Y'all can do me a favor, like, subscribe, all that stuff. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Have you ever sold a 90 Delta put when you're out? No, not done that. Appreciate you guys. Hey, what's going on, Pat Boy? What's going on, Ryan? Right is down again, I guess. I guess it is. I think it's going to be okay long term. I'm very, very bullish on not just Riot, but the Bitcoin miners in general, guys. They're really starting to get it together. I think there's a lot of people that are sleeping on that business. There's a lot of people that are disillusioned. They're disenchanted, because I think this dilution was just too much for their souls to bear. And that's okay. It doesn't fit everybody's profile, and that is perfectly okay. It fits mine. I really feel like I know what these companies are trying to do. I know that they've been up against it because they're capital deficient. It's a very capital intensive business, but I think they're figuring it out. I think especially I'm very, very excited about CleanSpark because of what they got going on, but I'm more excited about the companies that also have the HODL. Because, Bitcoin goes up to $200,000 or something like that. They're going to be huge beneficiaries of that. And as shareholders, we are as well. So I'm super excited about that. Appreciate that, Mike K. What's going on? Trader status quo. Jabes or Jabez de la Cruz, how are you? Mark Cares, what's going on? TJ, do you have any positions with PayPal on the portfolio that's not available right now? It will be in about three or 4 days, give or take. There is a position of PayPal on PayPal there. It's the only one. I'm definitely looking at selling some short strangles on PayPal here, probably today though. Yeah, you've got to manage them. I don't need to sell any more cash secure puts on right because there's already 1,000 cash secure puts out there. So you talk about Upstart. What do you think about it? I don't. I just think that it's got kind of a high multiple, but it's not a company that I'm excited about per se. I think they use artificial intelligence to kind of like decide whether or not they want to loan somebody money. I mean, it's okay. I just don't think that they can light a candle to SoFi. So one thing that I did want to do though is I do want to get back over here on the Kaleidoscope action, and let's look at PayPal real quick. Let's just look at PayPal. So let's go over here and let's go PayPal. See if there's anything there, because I know the premiums aren't that great. And this company, you know, I don't think they had a great quarter either. So let's just look over here in the 52-day cycle, see what that looks like. So I'd be super excited over here in the $60 range. And then I'd probably put something over here into, that's 22 delta. So I'd probably go over here into 72.50 delta, something like that. Do maybe 25 contracts. See what that looks like. See if that gets me excited at all. You know, you make $6,000 and it doesn't take a whole lot of buying power. So it's not a horrible return. I wanted to sell the short strangle, if you will. It's just not a position that I'm that excited about. But that being said, if it goes back down to 60, then I'm kind of excited about it. And I feel like I could ride it from 60 to 75. So there's the opportunity, but the premiums aren't that good. But whenever you're able to sell the short strangle, because imagine just doing a cash secure put, the only thing you're able to get is $116 a contract. But the fact that I'm able to pick up another $108 by being able to sell the other side on this platform, as opposed to our beloved Robinhood, that's what now makes PayPal a lot more intriguing and appealing. So that is the beauty of this platform right here, is I can take a stock, I can take an underlying that I was otherwise no longer interested in because the premiums just aren't that great. But the fact that I can start the position off with a short strangle and pick up both sides, now it makes the position a lot more appetizing, if you will. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that on and see what happens. And there it is. That was quick. And that was quick. So now we got it on there. So we've got a highway that's pretty narrow because I'm not expecting too much from this stock. If things get out of hand, because it wasn't $100 not too long ago, I'll adjust it accordingly and pick up some credits. Now, the beautiful thing about the short strangle is it's not as capital intensive. And if you have to be in this trade for 2 or 3 or 4 years and you're just managing and collecting credits, widening the highway, eventually, again, I treat the share price like that drunk driver. You make the highway wide enough, it's going to be able to eventually make it all the way to expiration. You're going to exit stage left with all of those credits. But you got to be able to manage it. You got to have that 3 to 5 year time horizon when you get into this situation, because if you just think, oh, I'm just going to be in it for 52 days and that's it, it's not likely to work out that way. So I think you need to have realistic expectations. Anyway, I got to run. That is my time, guys. I got to get on with my FaceTimes. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Thanks so much to all the people on X. I put a little tweet out there for my wife, help her to help me wish her a happy anniversary. A lot of y'all are signed in. I really, really appreciate that. Anyway, I got to rock and roll. TJ the Wheel Deal signing off. As always, may your sky stay blue, stock screen. Peace out. God bless you guys.